Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that carries.
And I also would approve the board meetings from April 9th, 2019.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the board meeting minutes from April 9. Any discussion?
No, sir.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries.
Commissioner Edwards introduced the motion to approve the board meetings of April 9, 2019. It should be
The
the
meeting minutes.
meeting minutes.
Meeting minutes. Okay, did I leave minutes out?
Yes, sir.
And the year.
And the year for 20, did I leave the year out too? Okay, let's try that again then. I would move to approve the board meeting minutes from April 9th, 2019.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion on that one? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you, County Manager. All right, that moves us to presentations on the agenda. And today we have Timberland Regional Library. And Cheryl Hayward, please come on up. Yay, Cheryl.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How's everybody doing? Can you hear me? Is this working? Yes.
We're doing fine, thank you.
Okay. So before I get started, I'd like to have the staff who are here today stand up and introduce themselves. Let's start with Holly.
I'm Holly Paxton, manager of the Lacey Timberland Library. I'm Morgan Sloan, the manager of the Olympia Timberland Library. I'm Ann Bowers, I'm the interim manager of the Young Timberland Library.
Thank you. On behalf of 308 employees, thank you for the opportunity to share with you Timberland Regional Library's 2018 State of the Library Report. The new program, services, and initiatives in 2018 captured the essence of the library's mission statement, which is Timberland invites discovery and interaction with our vibrant collection, services, and programs for learning, enrichment, and enjoyment for people of all ages in our diverse communities. Here are some of the 2018 highlights. The first is one that I spoke to you last fall, and it's called Explore Timberland. The goal for this new program is to spread the word about Timberland's library services, connect with people we have not yet reached, distribute books into the community to enrich reading experiences, and provide additional opportunities for adults and children to interact with books together. In Thurston County, locations include Bucota City Hall, Inner City Transit, Rochester Primary School and Grand Mound Elementary, SPSCC College Library, Cielo, Thurston County Public Health and Social Services, Roof Community Services in Rochester, and the Boys and Girls Club of Thurston County. These are books that have been weeded out of Timberland's collections. These are books that people can take and keep. The second is a new program, a Timberland Story Trail out at Randall. So if you're going through Randall to Packwood and to the mountains, this is a new partnership project between the Mountain View Timberland Library and the Cowlitz Valley Ranger District, which brought literacy to the trails. We encourage everyone to get out to the Gifford-Pinchot National Forest and walk the lower loop of Woods Creek Trail number 247 while experiencing the story, the Big Woods Orchestra, along with nature facts. The third service that happened last year was a Veterans History Project. Timberland is proud to be the one of many official partners of the Library of Congress Veterans History Project, whose mission it is to collect, archive, and provide access to personal accounts of American war veterans so that future generations may hear directly from veterans and better understand the realities of war. You can find 170 recordings of local veteran stories that you can either watch online or check out as a DVD by visiting Timberland's website, trl.org. Videos are also archived at the Library of Congress. The fourth new program last year was the opening of the Hawks Prairie location for a library kiosk at the Baby Boomers Bikes and Chain and Pedal Cafe. So people who live out in that area can pick up their books there and return their items there as well. The fifth, Hoquiam Timberland Library, $1 million worth of grants and private donations to fix the structure overall of the Hoquiam Timberland Library. Also, a Lucky Day collection. What we hear over and over again is that people have to wait a long time to check out materials that are very, very popular. So we instituted a Lucky Day collection. This new collection features a selection of the most popular high-demand titles available on a first-come, first-served basis at any one of your 27 local Timberland libraries. There's no waiting, there's no holds, there's no renewals. We also partnered with the State Board of Community and Technical Colleges, the State Library, and the local colleges in our 5-county region to provide 2 programs, one called High School 21 Plus for people over the age of 21 who have not finished their high school degree. And the last time we looked at the numbers for that, minimum of 40,000 people across 7,000 square miles who are over 21 who don't have a high school degree. So we are offering that possibility in partnership with the colleges where students can come in and check out a Chromebook and do the curriculum online. The second partnership with these institutions is called IDEA, which is Integrated Digital English Acceleration for those people learning English as a second language, also with using Chromebooks. And lastly, we started work on our community engagement initiative, asking for input from our residents across the 5-county region. Very briefly, out of the 280,600 people who live in Thurston County, 184,965 have library cards. So we all have work to do. Whatever you learned today and whatever's in your packets, please share the wealth of knowledge that Timberland Regional Library has to offer to over 500,000 people across the 5-county region. In your packet of information, I'm not going to read everything in here, nor am I going to go over all of it, but I do want to point out, everybody in the audience also has a packet. We have information about additional new services, and I do want to point out one more, and that is the McCleary Timberland Library in 2019 is acting as a pilot program for us. The library is staffed 27 hours a week. We have added up to 91 hours a week to that particular library. That library is now open 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. every single day of the week. And what we are seeing is very positive. What we are seeing is that people are coming in with their children, that they are accessing the internet to do work, mostly work-related, applying for jobs, printing out resumes, doing work for their small business. So it's very exciting. Everybody has an opportunity to sign up and access the McCleary Timberland Library's open or expanded access hours. So please speak to your local staff and your local libraries about that, because I'm sure a lot of you drive by McCleary and would want to check something like that out. Thank you for your attention. Any questions?
Questions, comments?
Thank you, Cheryl. You always do a good, exciting job. You know, I think of you as a cheerleader for the library.
We are. It's great stuff. And, you know, when people think of libraries now and, you know, what are libraries, how relevant are they? They're very relevant. They're incredibly relevant. And we're just trying to make it more like serious fun, right? Serious fun.
Questions or comments?
Libraries have a special place in my heart because I spent, in high school, I worked at my local city library. All through college, I worked for the Houghton Library in the repository of all the rare books in the Harvard system, which was a super cool place.
Isn't it super cool? I did that too at McGill University with the rare books, and they were in the basement of all places.
Yeah,
not a good place.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Abraham Lincoln's signed copy of the Illinois Conveyancer, for example. But yeah, so I spent years in and around libraries and really appreciative of the system we have here.
Mm-hmm.
So you know the Dewey Decimal System pretty well then?
Yep, got it down.
Annabeth and Pippin, do you understand? Do you know what the Dewey Decimal System is? Okay, it's a lost art. You got work to do, Cheryl.
We'll talk.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice
Yes.
picture, and
Thank you.
I love it when you come in. Always feel guilty though, because I think I have a book at home that says
Past due.
property of or
Yeah.
something.
That's okay.
But I love it when you come in. It seems like you should come in more often than once a year.
I come in twice a year,
That's
actually.
it. I knew it. Wow, what a great second banana.
Thank you.
Cheryl, thank you very much. Thank you. Next, we have Earth Day proclamation. We have a proclamation to give when we have special guests in the house. And so I'm going to turn to Ramiro.
Thank you, Commissioners. Before you is a proclamation related to Earth Day, which this year is April 22nd, 2019. And with us, we have 2 individuals who represent this proclamation to a great extent. First of all, we have Mr. Ralph Monroe. He has previously, he served as the 13th Secretary of State for the state of Washington. He was first elected in 1980, and he served 5 terms. He has since retired from public office, I believe. But most of all, Mr. Monroe has been an advocate for Earth Day and always working with children, particularly with the McLean Elementary, and planting trees along the trail. And as of last year, we named on your behalf a portion of that trail, the Ralph Monroe Trail. Welcome. Also, we have with us Mr. Eli Sterling. He is the Executive Director of the Procession of the Species. And as you know, that's one of the biggest events celebrating Earth Day here in Thurston County. So both would like to address the board. So I may ask Mr. Monroe to come to the podium and address the board, please.
Welcome, Secretary of State.
Thank you, sir, commissioners, and members of the audience.
Can you get that microphone right next to your, there you go. Thank you, Rob.
Okay. I appreciate the opportunity to be here for Earth Day and to see this marvelous resolution passed. And with me today are 2 more outstanding students from McLean Elementary School. And I know that these programs take place in lots of schools around the area, but McLean is lucky enough to be here today, and we represent probably more than the students from our part of the woods. So Pippin, why don't you come up here, and Annabeth, why don't you come up here? And
We know that bends all the way down. We tested it. Oh, there we go.
say something to the commissioners? Go ahead.
Right next to your mouth, right next to the mic.
It's really fun to go out and plant the daffodils every year, and it's like sometimes you don't get to go on very many field trips every year, but when you go to McLean, you're guaranteed to get at least one field trip going to plant those daffodils, and it's super, super cool. What do you want to say?
Well, say something. I gotta get a picture for Dad. Say something. Anything. I don't care. Give the weather report. Give something.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we have another, don't stay up here, girls. We have another student from McLean Elementary School, and his name is Nick Schmidt. Would you come up, Nick? And Nick was a student in 1995 at McLean Elementary, and he was one of the first students that planted trees with us at that time. And Nick has stayed involved over the years, so we appreciate it. You want to say a word?
Thank you, commissioners. I think my family's been here 6 generations, was raised on the thought that, give back to the community, which gave my family so much. And it was my first real opportunity, besides Boy Scouts, was getting to tromp around out in the mud out at McLean Trail and plant some trees, and it's fun. I live out there that way now, and it's fun to drive by and see them a lot taller than I remember. So, but anyway, thank you for letting us be here.
Thank you, Nick.
And finally, Bob Barnes. Bob is a community organizer and activist. And you want to say a word, Bob? He's helped us immensely, along with some of you know Dave Pearsall. And Dave couldn't be here today, but Bob and Dave have been really involved.
Thank you, commissioners. It's been a pleasure being involved with Ralph and the McLean Elementary School for the past 20-some years. We planted literally thousands of daffodils and many, many trees, and the world is better because of it. The future belongs to these children, and I'm just thrilled to be part of that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
And finally, I'm going to bring up some pictures for you. These pictures start in 1994 when volunteer loggers from Thurston County cleared a huge stretch of property from Evergreen College all the way down to Mud Bay Road for us. And the Scotch broom was unbelievable. And they piled up the Scotch broom, and I want to say that this property is owned by the road department. One time Evergreen was projected to be much larger than it is, and so there was going to be a 4-lane highway go in, and so this property was purchased. And it was then given to the county by the state. And your road department has just been fantastic to work with. They have just, I can't say enough good things about them. And I know that I'm sure they get screamed at and yelled at from time to time about chuck holes or snow plows or whatever. But I'll tell you, they have been so wonderful to work with, and your parks people have been wonderful to work with as well. So these pictures show us clearing the property, and then they go on to show the planting by the people in the neighborhood and the students at McLean Elementary. And then they go on, and yesterday I went out on the same spot that these pictures, first pictures were taken, and took some pictures along the trail. And I think you'll see a remarkable difference. And these kids deserve all the credit, and long after we're gone, they're going to be taking good care of this neighborhood. So it's been great to work with. And another amazing thing about this is that when we call for help, like when these guys, we don't have any more room to plant trees, so now we're planting daffodil bulbs, as the girls said, 5,000 a year. But when we go out, we call for help for protection and so forth. The sheriff's department is right there. The Evergreen Police Department are right there. People come from the community. And this year, the community paid for all the bulbs. People donated money for all the bulbs. So it's just been a really fun project, and something that I think the kids can be proud of, and we're very proud of. So thank you.
Mr. Secretary, will you introduce Seth as well?
Oh, sure. I'm sorry. Seth Crump. Come on, stand up, Seth. Seth is about a fifth-generation Crump in the neighborhood, and he's a great guy. And he's Pippin's dad. So.
Pippin's dad, yeah. Welcome. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for being here, too. I'll bring these pictures up to you. You'll see some of your friends in those pictures.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all very much.
Okay,
And,
that concludes our...
I would just add that Ramiro Chavez said that you retired after decades with from public office, but you have yet to retire from public service.
Well, thank you.
And Thurston County is a much better place for you and all your work and efforts, as well as Bob's and everybody else's, Nick's and Seth's kids, everybody.
Well, these kids make it all possible, so that makes it fun. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments?
Just, I'm neighbors of your trail and your work. I live up just east of Evergreen College. I see the daffodils and the trail work every single day, usually 2 or 3 times a day. And just thank you, it's beautiful. And I always wondered who was doing all of that planting, and now I know.
Well, these guys are doing it. So it's a lot of fun.
Gary, you have anything to say or add? Comments or not?
Nope, we're all in this game together, and I'm looking forward to reading this proclamation.
But don't go away, because we're going to read the
we have
proclamation.
Mr. Eli Sterling.
And we have Eli, but then stick around, because of course we're going to bring you up for pictures.
Are we going to have Eli up before I read
Yes.
the Yes, sir. Okay, I got a little ahead of got so enthused, I got ahead of myself.
Executive Director of Procession of the Species for, what, 30 years or more? Come on up, Eli. Bring your prop.
All right, well, thank you very much. The 2 elderly commissioners have gone through this process before, so I will duly embarrass
Which 2 would that be?
Ty here as his new person. I'll bring a slight artifact of the procession to the county, so I wish you would accept a part of the procession as an official luminary that we're asking you to carry. And don't be afraid, it's not going to bite you.
Okay.
And the luminary procession this Friday on the 26th of April here. So, yeah, so we normally have a few of the other things I brought along, but if you want to return those, it's fine. We can put those in the procession. But I'll explain your duties later, Ty, for sure.
All right.
So first of all,
We still have those. We just want to look like borders.
those little spangly things.
Yeah.
So I do want to say thank you very much for the honor, the inclusion. My one time a year. So so give me a chance to just say a few little words. I do want to also just say congratulations to the library. 50 years next year, for my world, it is the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, and these are huge accomplishments for any type of celebration we have in our society. As more and more they become sort of days off, as opposed to sort of really honoring what's at stake. And so to have a library system 50 years old, and I stood up for the one in Montesano actually, so that didn't get closed down. So thank you very much for that, and it certainly means a lot. I also want to just give a quick shout out to the employees of Thurston County, who actually have a statewide reputation for the work that's being done here in this county, as far as the lead when you talk to people over in Spokane and in Wenatchee specifically, Leavenworth. You guys are you're doing a great job. And when we think about the fact that our population in the county is going to double, it seems overwhelming. It must seem overwhelming on how to deal with issues, especially water issues. But nonetheless, we're counting on you. And on behalf of my constituency, I just want to say thank you very, very much. It's amazing what you guys are doing, so thank you. Now, regarding the procession really quickly, it is going to happen on April 26th and 27th, still in collaboration with the Olympia City Arts Walk. The thing of note is that we are going to start our luminary procession. Normally at 9:30 at night. We're going to start at 8:30 this Friday for the very first time ever. Police escorts down 4th Avenue. Just so more families can get involved. So that's Friday night at 8:30. If you've never seen the luminary procession, it's something you should, again, there's no words, it's just pure music. You just get to see something beautiful and a belief system. Also, just to let you know, we have had our own little achievements on our line of work here for 25 years. If you travel on Alaska Airlines magazine, if you flip to the back of the book to say what to do in Seattle, the top thing to do in Seattle is to come to the procession of the species with beautiful little pictures. So there for the month of April, we're graced in Olympia once again. And for all of us, we consider not even really an umbrella. We consider the procession a tarp that all the other environmental groups get to play on. We're really proud to have done our part for Earth Day. Now, and we know the procession, we know this as a very bright and expression of joy and a reminder of the opportunity that we have here on Earth, just as people. It is a planet, and it's a blessing if we all have equal access to what's going on. We can't provide everything, but there is one thing we can do, and that's recognize that it is a profound blessing to be alive and have the space to be on this planet. And it seems all manageable until we start stepping on our own shoelaces, either ours or somebody else's. And it's kind of good to laugh at ourselves sometimes to see that, but it's also good to remember that the basic obligation of any society is the protection and the enhancement of the dignity of the human spirit for the members of that society. The dignity of the human spirit, that's the obligation. You can't provide everything for everybody, but dignity is paramount. And yet we simply cannot ignore that increasingly the principles driving our own personal convictions have come to not only allow but seem to encourage a disrespect for life. And why is that happening, that degradation of dignity? Pretty simple. We've somehow decided to just remove the idea of the lack of heart. Now, that's not a woo-woo heart, that's just basic heart, right here. When we're talking about daffodils, kids, the future, that's not woo-woo heart, that's real basic, concrete, in the dirt heart. Now, on previous Earth Days, I've talked to you about Scott's Miracle-Gro. Now, you guys weren't present at the time. On the 50th anniversary of Rachel Carson's Silent Spring, Scott's Miracle-Gro was brought into court, fined by the EPA $4 million for deliberately 2 solid years selling 71 units, like the little basket rings of seeds. 2 years, Scotts Miller sold the seeds laced with the pesticide that kills birds, knowingly. They took the chemical, shipped it out of the country, brought it back in under a new name. For 2 years, they sold seed that killed birds, and did kill birds, to kids and senior citizens. So they had a good principle. They were fined 6 cents a product, and they made $1 net off each product. Good solid principle, short on heart, because you're looking at kids, senior citizens reaching out, enticing something that was killed. That's Scott's Miracle-Gro. You can go online, just put bird seed and Scott's Miracle-Gro. Okay. Next thing last year, what I did, I talked about firefighters. Our firefighters that we honor. In Washington, D.C., I was there. They were lobbying to have the inclusion of a survey that would allow the baseline of fire retardants. 67% of all firefighters in the United States of America carry carcinogenics, the retardants within them, the carcinogenics of fire retardants. 60% of those people come down with cancer. They were trying to get the bill for just a survey to get a baseline fire for all firefighters in the United States through Congress. Wouldn't happen. Why? Because of our representative no longer up there in Bellevue, said, no, if you put that survey on, that's going to lead to regulation. I know these are hard things to tell. I don't mean to make your molars itch, but they would not put it forward because it would lead to the regulation, quote unquote, of DuPont. Okay, good principle. We don't believe in regulation. That firefighter looked up at the dome when I was right there, and he looked at me and says, you know, I love my children, and the world can be a crummy place. Those are firefighters. Baseline study. Strong on principle, slow on heart. Okay? So now, Quaker Oats. There it is, Quaker Oats. See that smiling little guy? See that? Quaker Oats has 1,000% of the above. In other words, what let's say, you're supposed to have 167 parts per million, 1,000 parts per million of Roundup in this container right here, damaging to children. And I will read what Fortune magazine.
Are you almost done, though?
Yeah, you know what? It's not about almost being done. I am almost done. I appreciate
Okay,
it.
thank you.
But I do want to make a point that what we do when we take the heart out of something, we put heart here, right here, trying to tell kids to eat this. And they say right there, kids, if you or your children are eating Cheerios or Quaker Oats, good chance they're accompanied by the potentially harmful weed killer Roundup. Fortune magazine. The most concerning findings came with Quaker Oats. So the point being is that this product right here is poisonous. It's allowed to exist because right now, but if you go to Home Depot, you will see Roundup because their stock market shares are going down. You will see it piled high in Home Depot, crates of it because they're dumping the product. That is fine on principle. You know, it's Quaker Oats. It's a product, but it lacks heart. It lacks heart. And so the goal of Earth Day is always to remind us it's not so much about judgment, but heart is required to make this community move forward. And that's all that procession is trying to do. I want to commend the daffodils. If you need to share a story about heart, Ralph Monroe, he made a big deal about saving orcas after he had an epiphany at hearing them screech. And then heart came into it, and we were able to start saving orcas in Puget Sound. But we need that. I'm asking you to encourage it. I'm asking you to recognize that the procession is exactly that. And next year when we have our 50th anniversary, my hope is that we're well qualified to truly celebrate what that's about. Thank you very much. I appreciate being in the proclamation.
Thank you, Eli. Any questions or comments?
Thank you, Eli. Stick around when we get done. I'd like to visit with you. Okay?
Questions or comments?
Nope.
No? Okay, we got a proclamation to read.
Okay, Earth Day. Whereas April 22nd, 2019, the 49th anniversary of the first Earth Day provides an opportunity to increase community appreciation of the Earth's natural environment, and whereas Earth Day is a reminder of the constant need for environmental activism, stewardship, commitments, and sustainability efforts. This year's theme, Protect Our Species, is focused on raising awareness about the accelerating rate of extinction of millions of species. And whereas all species play a unique role and contribute to the ecosystem on which all life on Earth depends, and protecting our species is crucial to the survival of this planet and its inhabitants. And whereas children are 30% of our population and 100% of future generations, and it is understood that sustainability will only be achieved by meeting the needs of the present without compromising the needs of future generations. And whereas the loss of species is largely in part a result of human activity, including degradation of the ecosystem, deforestation, pollination, and climate change. And it is essential to involve the community in the design and implementation of solutions to environmental issues. And whereas Earth Day offers citizens a unique opportunity to make a commitment to personal practices that will be vital in protecting the quality of human and other life for generations to come. And whereas Thurston County promotes sustainable practices through education and outreach efforts, including waste reduction, reuse, and recycling, and education about the negative impacts to our environment, thus resulting in impacts to human health and water quality. Now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Thurston County Commissioners hereby proclaims April 22nd, 2019 as Earth Day in Thurston County, and encourages all citizens to be a part of this important movement and help write many more victories and successes into our history. Adopted the 16th day of April 2019 by your Board of County Commissioners.
And now we invite, Now we invite the presenters to come on up, please. We have a presentation of the proclamation for you, and we're going to get a picture. So Nick,
Everybody that's here.
Ralph, Annabeth, Pippin, and Seth, and Eli. Come on up.
Just line up. The lineup, Ralph. Just get in the lineup here.
Eli, there you go.
Give you a stick around. Do. Okay, another time, okay. Okay.
In.
There you go.
In.
Oh, all right, thank you.
Wait a minute. There we go.
There we go.
You got us all?
All right. 1, 2, 3. Let's get a couple more. 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, appreciate it.
Those were the 3 minutes I was showing.
Hey, Bob, how are you doing?
All right, good. Thanks, Gary.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for all you do.
Proclamation.
Here's the definition of what we do,
Okay,
just for your record, just for the.
thank you.
All right, thank you for that respite. That was fun. And now in the agenda, we're coming to community planning and economic development, introduction of new managers. And I'm going to call, where are you? Jeremy, or Josh. Come on up, Josh. Josh Cummings.
Hello, Commissioners. I am Joshua Cummings, the Director of Community Planning and Economic Development, also known as CPED. Wanted to take this just brief opportunity to first off say thank you for your support over the past year. In my role as Director, we've worked hard to stabilize the organization and increase efficiency and customer service to the citizens of Thurston County. And your support has been vital in that. One of the big key pieces to achieving that stabilization and increased service to the citizens is filling out our senior management team. And so I wanted to take this quick opportunity to introduce you to the folks that we've brought on board over the past couple of months. And I'll start just real briefly and go through each one of them. And if you have questions, we can call them up and say hi at the end there. First is Linda O'Neill. She is our fiscal manager. She was brought on board in January of 2019, coming from Washington State's Office of Rates and Management, working with budgets and auditing and cost reporting. She's managed multiple team members. She is a doctoral candidate in business administration with a focus on data analytics. And she has a dog named Riley, which I think is a Yorkshire Terrier. Yeah. Jeremy Davis. We promoted Jeremy from within. He's now our internal senior planner. He was a senior planner in community planning. He's now our operations manager. He's been with the county for over 10 years. He's supervised many staff throughout the years and has provided sound, process-oriented guidance to others and our organization. There's a couple of tidbits, but I didn't want to embarrass him. We'll let him do that.
Oh, come on.
I just pulled him out of the CRS meeting with FEMA right now, so he's on the clock, but he's working to serve the citizens by reducing the insurance rates of folks that have houses here locally. So thanks for coming out of that. Sorry about that. Finally is Brett Burris. He is now our building planning manager, brought on in March 2019, so the newest member of our senior management team. Brett has 20 years of experience in the field of planning, permitting, and public works. He comes to us most recently from SCJ Alliance, where he was a project manager and team lead. Previous to that, he worked for the City of Olympia for 15 years. He supervised and managed multiple staff as well as major projects. Brett also served aboard the USS Simpson during the first Gulf War. He has 2 boys in the North Thurston School District that play soccer, football, and basketball. I think he was just at a tournament this last weekend. So,
wow.
Good community citizen. Anyways, that was it. I just wanted to make sure that you guys see these new faces and some that have been here for a while. But these are the folks that are on the ground serving the folks of Thurston County. And we're finding new ways to create efficiency and increase the way that we help and serve those here locally. And your support is appreciated in that process. So I'll step away from the mic if you have any questions of the staff.
Questions or comments?
Linda started about the time I did. Hopefully you're getting on board and feeling comfortable. Jeremy's already had multiple opportunities to bring me up to speed, and Brett and I've already had a chance to call on Brett for help, so welcome to all of you and thank you for your work.
Nothing?
Nope, I'm just going to say welcome and welcome in your new role, Jeremy.
And Jeremy, you know you're a rock star and legendary. And Linda, when do you finish your PhD?
I have about a year left, so I'm
Good.
working my dissertation right now.
Grief. Okay, congratulations. I'm in awe. Good job. And Brett, thank you very much for serving our country. And you must know Perry Shea from the SAG Alliance, or SJ.
SCJ?
Yeah.
Yes, Perry Shea was one of the founding members of SCJ Alliance, yes.
Yeah, it's a good egg. So welcome.
Thank you very
Welcome.
much.
Expect good things from you now.
Yes,
I think
sir.
he's got something in common with the county manager or something.
Oh, what might that be?
Well, I worked with Perry Shea way back in the day. 28 years ago, so. I'm
Just
dating-
the other day for us
dating
old
myself.
timers.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good man.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, Josh. You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Now that takes us to number one on the agenda. 40 minutes into the program, we're at item number one. And that's the opportunity for the public to address the board. I have a sign-up sheet here with only 2 names on it. Josh, is there anybody else signed up? Okay. And so the rules of engagement are the same, because you gentlemen have been here before. This is the time where the public get a chance to address the board. It's not meant for question and answer. Don't expect a response from us or opine on anything. So we don't respond to public comment. And on a need basis, the county manager may follow up next week if something comes his way. You're limited to a total of 3 minutes to address the board, and you cannot donate your time to somebody else. The board, we reserve the right to restrict a person's opportunity to address the board for good cause. Please silence your cell phones. No comments that are lewd or offensive to a reasonable person. Please be respectful. No outbursts of any kind. No commercial comments or commercial in nature, such as a promotion for a for-profit business. No comments that are inflammatory or hateful or defamatory or discriminatory. No remarks about pending land use permits or similar matters that might come back before the board on appeal. And any materials that are provided to the county may be considered public records, subject to public records release upon request pursuant to the Public Records Act, Chapter 42.56 of the RCW. Thank you very much for your cooperation. And first one up is Micah Anderson, followed by Scott Bannister. Hi, Michael. Micah.
Howdy. I'm Mike Anderson, resident of Olympia. About a year ago, I became aware that Thurston County Superior Court started using the practice of a criminal court commissioner. I believe his name is Nathan Cordercox. I'm not quite sure. And I've noticed in the course of this year that his primary role is as a criminal court commissioner. He's on every criminal court calendar. So a person of logical intelligence would conclude that this person is acting in the capacity of a criminal court commissioner. Which brings me to my question, which is RCW 2.24010, which reads in part, the county legislative authorities must approve the creation of a criminal commissioner position. And I've requested some records over the past couple of years to see when I could find the minutes for the creation of that criminal court position, and I haven't been able to do it. But also a lot of my public records requests are somehow, some way always being bounced back and forth from the prosecutor's office. And so I think that might have some influence upon the records that I'm receiving. So I got ahead and have a copy I'll deliver to the city and county manager. And the other couple RCWs I'd like to bring to your attention, one is RCW 6512.050, which reads the Register of Titles. And in a nutshell, that's your county auditor. One of her capacities is to act as a Register of Titles, which brings me to the next RCW, which is 6512.090, which describes the Examiner of Title. Now, the Examiner of Title is supposed to be acting as the legal advisor to the auditor. I don't know if you're quite aware of that. And I happen to have here some information with regards to the current person who's allegedly acting in that capacity. However, again, I haven't been able to find some of the statutory mandates that are required of this person to fulfill that obligation. And I also went ahead and reported this information off to the sheriff's office because I do believe this is of a criminal nature. and he is acting to solicit funds in that capacity again from some other residents of Thurston County at the current moment. And I have all that information here too. I'll just hand it right on off. Thank you.
Well, wait, before you leave though, for my notes here, the RCW 050, the second one you talked about, what was that reference?
Our 050 references the Register of Title, and it
Okay.
describes the duty responsibility of the county auditor in that capacity. And the second one was RCW 6512090, which explains the examiner of title, the
Examiner,
legal
got it.
advisor of the auditor.
And you're going to leave those copies with the manager?
That's
Thank
correct.
you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. And Scott Bannister, you're up, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for having us today. I just wanted to say thank you for the cooperation that we're getting for the different items that we're bringing towards the county and the meetings that we've been having. I very much appreciate it. Everybody's been spectacular, and I wanted to comment on the 3 things that we have on the wall that are about our rights, and we, the people, are I'm very impressed. That's not seen very often. Well, that's all I have today. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Bannister. Appreciate that. Now I'm going to open it up. There's nobody else signed up. Is there anybody else that would like to address the board? Anyone? 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 All right, that closes public comment section. Thank you. County manager's update, following up on citizens' issues.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioners. Last week you received some public testimony. Let me just walk you through that. Ms. Erin N. Thompson extended an invitation to you to attend on May 11th the grand opening celebration of the Olympia Yacht Club. And those invitations have been put in your inbox for your consideration. Also, you received public testimony from Ms. Esther Connenberg as well as Mr. Jerry Durker. And this is related to a proposed development called Green Cove, located on the west side of Olympia, near Kaiser Road. This particular development is within the municipal boundaries of the city of Olympia. And unfortunately, the county does not have any jurisdiction related as to how we can influence or not the issuance of this permit. So there was an article back in March 12, 2019 on the Olympian related specifically to this development, where the Olympian addressed some of the citizens' concerns related to this particular development, where it appears there used to be a site where filled materials was deposited, and some of the concerns may be that after you disturb the soil related to this proposed development, the water quality may be in jeopardy of this particular project. In the Olympian article, it stated that the City of Olympia needs to go through the State Environmental Protection Act process, which is the SEPA process, to determine the impacts on the environment related to as a result of this project, which at that point the City of Olympia may issue a determination of no significance, a mitigated determination of no significance, or may require an impact environmental study, which is a formal EIS process. We discussed that this morning with the board, and there's an opportunity for the county to get involved through the SEPA process as to how we can comment related to some of the potential environmental impacts as it relates to this proposal. So I just became aware that that process has already started, and they have already submitted to the county, to environmental health, this proposed development for the county staff, to comment on that. As a result of that, on April 9th, 2019, county staff submitted formal comments to the City of Olympia related to this particular development, where in so many different words, it highlights some of the concerns that we have that perhaps on the environmental checklist, and the SEPA environmental checklist, does not include any information related to illegal dumping or historical illegal dumping on the site. So along so many different words, we have already started the process of providing formal comments to the City of Olympia related to this particular development. And we just have to continue to watch this project as it progresses as it relates to this permit. Any questions on that?
No, sir. Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay.
I just make the point that, as we stated in other contexts, aquifers and surface waters don't obey jurisdictional boundaries.
Right.
And this is in close proximity to county, and there's a great possibility for there to be effects to county residents and county land if some of the claims made by the opponents are true. So I'm hoping that Olympia does a thorough review and heeds our comments.
Absolutely. Thank you. You also received public testimony from Mr. and Mrs. Brown, and that was related to a land designation on their property that, based on their testimony, it appears to be maybe, I'll say maybe 6 years ago. Makes a reference of the planning director, Scott Clark. Scott Clark has not been a county employee at least for 5 years, I believe, if not more. So there has been a couple of directors since then, since Mr. Clark was the director. And they also made a reference that perhaps that was not necessarily justified, the particular land use on their property. So I recommend Mr. Brown, Mr. and Mrs. Brown, if they're listening to this, is we do have a process here in the county as to how any citizen can request any land use changes to their property, and that formal process needs to be brought to the commissioner's attention, and you will authorize or not to be included in what we call in the code and the docket. That would be the work plan for staff to look into this potential development. So that would be the best approach that Mr. Brown may take, Mr. and Mrs. Brown may take to resolve some of the concerns related to their particular land use. You also received public testimony from Mr. Scott Bannister last week, and he was following up on the resolution related that he presented to you on the ordinance related to the Second Amendment. I believe I already addressed that, since you already considered that proposal maybe a month ago when he originally introduced that for your consideration, and the result of that conversation was that you're not planning to take any action related to this particular proposal. That was all in terms of the public testimony that you received last week. I'd just like to inform the public that on the Board of County Commissioners is scheduled for April the 30th, that continues to be a Tuesday, is going to be held off-site. It's going to be in the Rochester area, and it's going to be at 5:30 in the afternoon. We have already issued a news release, and we'll continue to inform the public about this off-site meeting. The intent of this meeting is, I believe, the commissioners would like to go into the community and reach out to them as to how the public can be even more engaged on the business of the county. That's what I have for you.
No.
No, sir.
I would just go back to Mr. Bannister's comments, and even though the board has chosen not to take further action at this point, I am, speaking for myself, keep my eyes and ears open to what's going on nationally and even regionally and locally as well on that issue. It's not dead to me. Thank you. All right, moving on to agenda item number 3, consent items A through C.
Yes, I would move to approve consent items A through C.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve consent items A through C. Any discussion of those items? Nope. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. Agenda item number 4, Public Health and Social Services, approval of an MOU with Mason County. Art Story's in the house.
Yes, I'm here. Good afternoon. I'm Art Starry. I'm the Environmental Health Director for Thurston County Public Health and Social Services, and I'm covering this for John Alpenalp. And we're asking you to approve a memorandum of understanding between Thurston County Public Health and Social Services and Mason County. And what's going on is they're trying to start a syringe services program and a harm reduction program. And what this is allowing us to do is through a contract with the State Department of Health, it allows us to receive materials that we can basically share with them. Mason County, again, is starting the process. Given the state biannual budget process and all that, they really don't have time to enter into an agreement with Department of Health themselves. So what we're doing is, with our agreement with Department of Health, is we're going to receive the materials, and then through this MOU, we'll be able to share them with Mason County so they can start their program. The MOU would run for runs until the end of June, which is the end of the state fiscal year, and then at that point, if Mason County wants to continue this process, they'll negotiate directly with the state. And so this allows them to kind of get their program up and running. It's the kind of the easiest, most efficient way to do it. And since we have an agreement with the state, it's pretty simple for us to do as long as we have this agreement that you authorize. So that's what we're asking you to do, is to approve the MOU and authorize our director to sign it with the director of Mason County. Or actually, he's the Community Services Director, I think is his title. So that's it in a nutshell. There's no cost to us other than the little bit of time it's taken to develop the MOU. It's basically just a pass-through situation.
All right. Question or comment?
I guess the only comment I would have is, again, I'm repetitive here, but we've discussed this several times in work sessions, and that's why we don't have usually follow-up comments and questions at this point in time. And so we've been over this several times, and thank you, Art, for your diligence.
Anything, Ty?
No.
Nor do I. Thank you, Art.
Okay.
I would move to approve the Mason County Community Services Public Health Memorandum of Understanding for a syringe services program, and authorize the Public Health and Social Services Department Director to sign the Memorandum of Understanding.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve this MOU with Mason County. All in favor, or any discussion further? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Okay,
Thank you, Art. Agenda item number 5, Commissioners and County Managers items.
You have another item, yeah.
A.
Yeah.
A. Oh, 4, no, that's 5A. Yeah.
And you have Rick.
No, I have Rick Thomas coming up. I see what's going on here.
Yeah.
The title's different. Okay. Caught it. Rick Thomas, we're on-call consultant services for courthouse and civic center planning phase, where it's courthouse and regional administrative building. What is it, Rick?
I'll tell you.
Introduce yourself. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Rick Thomas. I am the Special Projects Coordinator for the county. And I'm here today requesting authorization to increase the funding limit for the Thomas Architecture Studios on-call professional contracting or consulting services contract, BoCC-2018-001, to support the continued planning of the courthouse and regional administrative building project in preparation for a ballot measure. The work will be defined on a task basis for each scope of work needed. The recommended action is to move to amend the contract with Thomas Architectural Studios to increase the dollar amount to $400,000 to support this planning effort, and to authorize the county manager to sign this amendment. Any questions?
Okay. Question?
I guess I don't know if my question is to the county manager or to Rick, but could you explain a little bit? I think this has to do with, we've been requesting extra work, is my understanding, but maybe we could clarify that for the viewing audience and those in the audience.
And yeah, if I may, thank you, Commissioner. This particular action before you is not about including the budget that has been allocated to this project. This is increasing the expenditure authority within the contract that we have with Thomas Architecture Studios, because we have added additional tasks they're providing, including the survey that I believe I provided with a draft report to you today. They have already helping us in developing somewhat of artistic rendering of a potential site. So that is additional tasks that we have asked them to help us with, and this increase is just to cover the cost of the additional tasks.
So basically, we're paying for services rendered.
Absolutely, that's what it is.
Okay.
Anything, Ty? No. Nor do I.
Okay, I would move to amend the contract with Thomas Architectural Service Studios to increase the dollar amount to $400,000 to support the planning of the courthouse and regional administrative building project, and authorize the county manager to sign the amendments and subsequent amendments.
And I'd like to make a motion to amend the motion and remove the and subsequent amendments from the tail end of the motion as stated.
And I would
Okay.
second that.
So it's been moved and seconded to amend the motion to remove the last three words,
Right.
and subsequent amendments. And the motion would end with county manager to sign the amendment, period.
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay. Any discussion on that amendment?
No, sir.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. And now we move on to the first motion to amend the contract with Thomas Architectural Studios to increase the dollar amount to $400,000 to support the planning of the courthouse and regional administrative building project. Any discussion on that?
No.
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. And that's done. Thank you for
very
coming up and
much.
bailing me out, Rick.
Oh, thank you.
It says county manager's items, but it's inappropriate title. So anyway, it's that. Now we move on to the county manager items.
I believe right now, maybe is your time to report as your previous activities of the
Okay.
last week? Would you like to do that first?
We'll
or
do
you-
that first, then you can follow up with our agenda for the week.
Yeah.
All right. Commissioner Messer?
First, okay. So I attended a number of community events, including South Sound Reading Foundation, Family Education Support Services, Dispute Resolution Center, and also the Rochester Clothing Closet. That was an interesting event, a very first event of its kind for this particular group run by the United Methodist Church in Rochester. This group distributes nearly 50,000 articles of clothing every year to needy folks in that area of our county. So those were all good events. And then one other thing I wanted to highlight was I had a chance to take a tour of the juvenile detention facility, and of course the detention facility. But what was more interesting was the programs that are being administered out of the facility. Most of our juvenile offenders are not being housed 24/7 in that facility. They are participating in what's called the Youth Day Program or the Garden Program. And these programs, I have to say, I didn't know the full extent of for example, the Garden Program. I didn't know the full extent of what's going on back there. It's incredibly impressive. I'm a former, as most people know, I'm a former criminal defense attorney and public defender. My standards for justice administration are pretty high. I think we have work to do in our adult system to get it where it needs to be. But I am very, very pleased with the way our juvenile system is being administered. We are keeping people out of detention. We are not seeing, we're seeing success stories. We had a letter that was given to me by a young lady who talked about how the Garden Program basically turned her life around. It was very moving. And folks get involved with that garden and they don't want to leave. I mean, they don't want to not be involved in the garden, and they keep coming voluntarily to be part of it. I really didn't understand exactly what a difference that's making in the community. All this happened before I got to office, so I want to just spread thanks out to whether it's the former commissioners or the prosecutor or the judges in juvenile justice or the administrator Mike Fenton at the juvenile detention facility or the sheriff's department or all of them. Whatever changes have been made the decisions have been made have been really good decisions, and I think it's making our community better. So I'm really just wanted to report that out to the public, and now I want to turn to our adult system and see if we can learn some of the lessons and see what's analogous and see if we can really get both systems just being absolute models for the nation in terms of how we administer justice. So I was really excited.
Before I'm going to jump in real quick on that.
Go ahead.
Because Seeds of Change it's an amazing program, and Shane Peer
Yeah, Shane.
that runs this thing is doing incredible work in changing lives and hearts. It's very touching when you hear talk to these kids as well. And I still grow tomatoes from them, which is really, really cool. And just this immediate previous board has supported and allocated funding to them through a process to keep that program going. It's very valuable. I'm glad you got to see
And
that.
if you haven't checked in on the Youth Day program too, it's equally impressive in terms of trying to keep accountability is there. That's what's important. Accountability is there, but we're not just spending money to keep people housed. We're getting them active and engaged and reintegrated back in the community.
It's beautiful.
It's really good.
And so while I've got the floor, I'll just go ahead and finish up because
Sure.
I canceled more things than I went to last week, recovering from laryngitis. And I regret that, but I'm fine, and I'll have more to report next week. Commissioner Edwards.
I guess I would encourage you to go back in about 3 months, then you get to see what the garden really looks like.
Yeah,
oh, gosh, yeah.
Yeah, so, anyway, I would guess that just condensing this down, my time this past week has been spent on the potential of growing hemp as a viable production product in Washington, here in Thurston County, the courthouse, and when I say hemp, I don't mean marijuana. I mean, not that that's not being done, but hemp offers a lot of potential of fiber and cleansing of soil, those type of things as well. The courthouse project, clean water, and biosolids on the Nisqually River and where we might be going with addressing that particular issue.
Is that it?
That's it.
There you go. County Manager, your turn.
Thank you, Commissioners. Let me walk you through your combined schedule for the upcoming week. The appointments that are going to be part of my report is where at least 2 commissioners are present. You may have individual appointments on your individual calendars. Those will not be part of my report. Beginning today, April 16th at 3:30, you have your regular Transportation Benefit District meeting. Tomorrow, Wednesday, April 17th, 10 in the morning, you have a briefing related to the YRAT 13 in association with the Hearst decision, and that is given by the Thurston Regional Planning Council. At 12 noon, you have your regular courthouse and regional administrative services building project update. And at 4 in the afternoon, speaking of the Family Justice Center, one of the many programs, as Commissioner Menser stated, the Seeds for Change, they also have a lot of art on the walls, and those are either by some of the juveniles involved in the system as well as some other artists. So you have an invitation tomorrow at 4 in the afternoon to participate in the Meet the Artist reception. And again, that's going to be located at the Family Justice Center at 2801 32nd Avenue, Southwest in Tumwater. Thursday, April 18th at 1 in the afternoon, Commissioner Hutchins and Commissioner Menser will have the regular Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Organization board meeting that is going to be located at 612 Woodland Square Loop, Southeast in Lacey. Friday, April 19th, at 8 in the morning, you have your regular steady meeting. Moving on to Monday, April 22nd, nothing on your schedule, and then we'll be back here Tuesday, April the 23rd, to review the agenda for that afternoon Board of County Commissioners meeting.
Commissioner Hutchings and I have been invited on Monday afternoon to the Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Organization Advisory Board meeting. We don't usually attend, but since I've never attended one, I'm planning to attend.
Oh, you're planning to attend?
I am
So is
planning to
Commissioner
attend. I don't know if
Hutchins? Are you planning to attend?
Yeah,
that?
when is that? On
Monday
the
afternoon.
22nd.
At 5:30 to 7 at the same location.
It's not on my calendar, so I'm not aware.
We just got an email this morning, so.
Okay, so we'll add it to the master calendar,
Just
so
in case.
just to make sure. Okay. That's all I have for you, Commissioners.
Is that it? Excuse me. Anything more, Commissioner Menser?
No.
Commissioner
No, sir.
Edwards?
No, sir.
County Manager, anything further?
No, Commissioner.
Assistant? All right, no more business. We're adjourned.